I'm not ashamed to own my Lord, nor to defend his cause. Maintain the honors of his word, the glory of his cross.
Hello, I'm James Brown, and on behalf of the Eastern Church of Christ located in Toronto, Canada, I'd like to welcome you to Saturday's edition of Walking Through the Bible, a podcast where we seek to study the Bible and the Bible alone. Please stick around afterwards for information on how you can contact us. But for now, if you have a Bible with you, please turn to the book of Genesis, and we'll turn you over to Jeremy Disacamp for our study of the day.
Thank you, James, and welcome to all of our viewers. This is the 101st lesson in our study of Genesis. Yesterday we covered Genesis chapter 29, verses 9 to 20, discussing Jacob's agreement with Laban to work 7 years in order to marry Laban's youngest daughter, Rachel. If you missed that episode and would like to watch it, you can find it and all of our other podcasts on our website at www.eastendchurch.org. You can also find them on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/EastEndChurchOfChrist under the Walking Through the Bible Genesis playlist. Today we're going to begin with Genesis 29:21 and read through verse 30. The text that you'll see on the screen is from the English Standard Version, but you're welcome to follow along with any version that you have. So let's now read Genesis 29, beginning at verse 21. Then Jacob said to Laban, "Give me my wife, that I may go in to her, for my time is completed." So Laban gathered together all the people of the place and made a feast. But in the evening he took his daughter Leah and brought her to Jacob, and he went in to her. Laban gave his female servant Zilpah to his daughter Leah to be her servant. And in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And Jacob said to Laban, "What is this you have done to me? Did I not serve with you for Rachel? Why then have you deceived me?" Laban said, "It is not so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. Complete the week of this one, and we will give you the other also in return for serving me another 7 years." Jacob did so, and completed her week. Then Laban gave him his daughter Rachel to be his wife. Laban gave his female servant Bilhah to his daughter Rachel to be her servant. So Jacob went in to Rachel also, and he loved Rachel more than Leah, and served Laban for another 7 years. In yesterday's episode, we find that Jacob had agreed with Laban to serve 7 years for Laban's youngest daughter Rachel. Rachel was more beautiful than her older sister Leah, something that Jacob clearly valued. In today's reading, we find the 7 years had passed. Jacob is about 78 years old here, and the time had come for Jacob to receive his bride. Laban agreed, and therefore he gathered all the people of the place together and had a feast. This feast was likely more than a one-day affair, but the bride would be received in the evening of the first night of the feast. However, Laban sought to deceive Jacob, for instead of Rachel, he gave Leah to be Jacob's wife. He also gave Leah his female servant named Zilpah, one who would serve as Leah's servant. How Jacob was fooled we don't know, but it was evening and it was dark, and so it probably wasn't too easy to spot the difference, especially if Leah was veiled, as seemed to be the custom that we saw with Rebekah back in chapter 24. It is said that Jacob went into her, which is the Bible using a euphemism for saying that Jacob and Leah had sexual relations, meaning that Leah was now Jacob's wife. In the morning, when it was light outside, Jacob found out that he had been deceived and complained to Laban. In one sense, Jacob is getting what he deserved, for he had deceived his father into blessing him instead of his brother, which was the reason he was with Laban to begin with. He now could sympathize with how his brother felt, not getting what he had been promised. Laban told Jacob that it was simply not custom to give the younger daughter before the older daughter, so he had to give Leah to Jacob instead. However, had this truly been custom, why hadn't Laban informed Jacob of this before? Laban knew what he was doing and intentionally deceived Jacob, knowing full well that he could get another 7 years' worth of labor from Jacob, due to the fact that Jacob loved Rachel and so desperately wanted to marry her. Laban told Jacob that he would give Rachel to Jacob as a wife, but he would need to complete the week of Leah, in other words, let Leah's marriage week pass over, then he would receive Rachel as a wife in exchange for 7 more years of labor. Jacob agreed and did what Laban asked. Laban then gave Rachel to Jacob for a wife, and Bilhah to Rachel as her servant. In this we see that Laban was not as generous as his father had been with Rebekah, for chapter 24 says that Rebekah had multiple maidservants sent with her. In marrying two women, Jacob had not done what his father had done and asked him to do, which was take only one wife. Yes, Jacob was deceived, but by marrying multiple wives, Jacob was going to have family troubles that would cause him great heartache. This relationship, being the husband of two sisters at the same time, would also later be banned by God in Leviticus 18:18, although he had not done so at this point in time. We'll continue with this story, the Lord willing, on Monday. With that, our time is up for today. Please join us, the Lord willing, tomorrow for the question and answer edition, as well as the weekly sermon edition of this podcast. This week's question is, do little children need to be baptized? Well, the sermon will be titled, The Marks of a Christian, a Temperate Person. We will continue our study of Genesis, the Lord willing, on Monday, beginning at Genesis 29:31.
Thank you, Jeremy. And to our viewers, we also thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button below. Should you have any questions or comments, please leave a comment below or email us at answerintheword@gmail.com. We'll try to respond to you as quickly as we can. We hope you'll join us, the Lord's willing, tomorrow when we'll be presenting 2 episodes. One is a question and answer session, while the other is a sermon from God's Word. Goodbye for now. Have a great day.
I'm not ashamed to own my Lord.